Another episode brought to you by DRAFTKINGS Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook and app. Deke, not only are they safe, but they are secure and reliable. And for all the first-time users out there, you know we got promo codes, right?
Yeah.
We got promo codes.
It wouldn't be right if we didn't have one.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to have, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to have a promo code. So for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So stop wasting time. Download the app. Use the promo code, more importantly,
Sure.
and get an opportunity. That's all you want is an opportunity to make a little money. We also had Let's Go Pens! Pens game last night, man. And before we start,
Should we wait till after for me to announce? Maybe you guys can guess, and if I watch the game based off my analysis. What do you think?
I would much rather we just do it ahead of time.
All right.
Yeah, because otherwise you might drop some gems and then people will go back and discredit it if you didn't watch it. But then the alternative, if you did watch it, but say you weren't as sharp as you would like to have been, they're going to discredit.
Honestly, maybe though the first thing you said, if I dropped gems and I didn't watch it, maybe people are impressed. They're like, holy hell, how's he getting this information? How's he able to skate through this?
Or are they going to say, man, he had a great Google game. So yeah, man, you let me know how you want to start this thing. My computer's acting wacky down here. I don't know what that was.
So, what time did the game start yesterday?
Well, actually, the game started at 7. Yeah, it started at 7. Right? Mm-hmm.
I had band practice at 8:30.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't get around to it.
Okay, fair enough.
But
I like it.
There's this thing called the internet.
Uh-huh, there it is.
And their streaming services.
Uh-huh.
Actually, this technically isn't a streaming service. I don't know how the hell I found this. Because I was looking up NHL Game Pass, NHL Rewatch, NHL Replay. Couldn't find really anything on official NHL. I go on Reddit.
Hey! Go on Reddit. All right.
I don't even know how these sites exist. Maybe it exists for the NFL too. Maybe I'm paying too much for NFL Game Pass.
It's from what I've heard, Reddit is definitely like, if you're into that, that's what they do.
So they had a link for me. What time was this? This was probably 11 or 12 o'clock today.
You gotta be careful with them links though. Every once in a while, you gotta be careful.
You do, but so
just never know.
They gave me the full game rewatch at my fingertips.
I like it.
I can rewind, go back and forth. I watched the full game, so I did watch it. Not at the time allotted yesterday. But I did rewatch the game.
I like it. Well, I got a similar story, actually. We had basketball practice last night at 7 o'clock, so I missed the first period. So when I came home, it's the start of the second period. I'm looking at the score saying 3-1. I'm like, what the heck is going on? But then I realized that I'm the good luck charm. You know how you shied away from it last time. We talked about, man, maybe that works. Maybe it doesn't work. You shied away from it. You ain't want that pressure. I want that pressure. Because as soon as I turned the game on, we scored. Then we got scored on. Then we scored again. And then before I know it, I'm like, oh, it's 4-4. And I'm like, dang, in the midst of me watching this game, thinking that we're not even playing that well, here we are tied up. And then from there, we get another OT action again. I mean, shout out to the fact we get back-to-back OT games against the Caps. I was absolutely loving that.
Dude, you were right about them cutting the players in overtime. They originally did it to 4. I don't know how many years ago, but then that's what I thought you were talking about whenever you mentioned it last podcast.
Further.
Now it's 3v3.
Yes, and you see how fast, like, it's different, man. Like, that's the thing that stood out to me the most when I saw it the other day. I'm like, I've seen overtime hockey, and most of the times overtime hockey, I'm like, it's obviously you cut it down, but it still looks very similar to like just your basic regulation. When you cut it down to 3 though, man, it's way faster pace. Obviously they got to sub a lot sooner because these guys now have to really play offense and defense. Is a lot more challenging and taxing on them. But man, you get some beautiful hockey when it's 3-on-3. Like you get a chance to really just see it and just appreciate it. And for me, man, these past 2 nights, man, I just get there, just kick my feet up, head back, enjoying the good time, man. Yes, indeed.
I don't know if it's all well and good going forward, though.
Now, why do you think that, man?
I think there are concerns, but like the first period, Pens got absolutely smoked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like absolutely smoked. It could have been, what was the final score in the first period?
It was 3-1.
3-1. It could have been like 5-1 or something
easily
like that.
Yeah.
Like they missed some opportunities. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. They definitely played way better in the second period and the third period.
Yeah.
Which gives you hope. I don't know. I might just be a little off on Casey DeSmith, though, as the goalie.
And that's fine. All I know is he had the 2 big plays of the night. He had a 3-on-0 fast break that he stopped, and then he had an assist for the game-time goal to Gino. To me, man, that's money in the bank. That's money in the bank, man. That's how I look at it.
If you're talking offense, for sure, just even how they played in those last 2 periods, it was crazy. Like they were like firing on all cylinders. You could tell they were way more aggressive. And I think this new dude that everyone's talking about, I don't know much about him, but there's some type of connection with Pittsburgh. We drafted him, this Kapanen.
Oh, yeah.
Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was flying out around there, dude.
Yeah, they say he's a speed dude, man. I'm still learning him. But apparently they're pretty high on him, so we'll see.
Oh, he was. Like, every time he was out there, he was making plays. I don't know if they limited his time or not. I don't know if this is a Claypool situation for us now. Should he be receiving more time on the ice? Should he be a first 2-liner guy? But
I'm cool with what we got right now. Because it's the thing. I look at it like this. Number one, that win yesterday, it showed 2 things. Number one, how ugly it could get for them at times because they were out of sync in that first period. And we've also seen them be out of sync before. In that series against the Flyers, they were very much the same way, out of whack, inconsistent, score a goal, give up 2 goals. Might get a score right here, then give up a goal on a power play. We would see that a lot. I'm chalking that up to short offseason. They didn't have a realistic offseason. So you're still getting accustomed to each other. And you have to remember with the Pens, a large amount of their key players that are out here offensively and defensively were acquired through trades late in the season last year, right before the pandemic started. So guys like Jason Zucker, guys like Brian Russ who came back, guys like Evan Rodriguez, right? All of these guys were acquired at the end of the season and literally got maybe 2 weeks in. And that was with them being on their road. They were on a West Coast trip. So they weren't even able to really get together and lock in and start to understand each other. Then you throw in a 4-game playoff series, take a month off, and now you're back in the action. So I'm like, man, they're still getting accustomed to each other. They're still filling each other out. But the fact that they were able to still rally against a good Caps team, Ovi, man, he had those guys playing the way they were supposed to play.
Is the Caps a top 4 team? Are they going to make the playoffs? Are they locked?
I feel like they should. Okay. I mean, but it's hard to say they're locked. Obviously, with the reclassification of the divisions now, it's a lot different. But they're definitely in the mix. I mean, they're a quality team, the same way the Pens are. But to me, man, like I said, for me to see the Pens be able to, number one, start out as ugly as it did, but then find a way to rally, to find, that deep dive and just, all right, even Casey DeSmith, you give up goals early on, man. It looked like it get out of hand. But then you come up with the bigger plays as this game progressed, second period and third period. That was huge. You saw it? That was huge. His first career assist as well. What better time for it to happen, man? Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was still very much intrigued about, and we flirted with this last podcast, we talked about Casey DeSmith versus Tristan Jarry. I'm starting to see what I thought it was going to be as well. Sullivan versus Rutherford in terms of their beliefs in Jarry versus versus Casey DeSmith, right? And I think, to me, that Sullivan, I don't think that he was all the way sold on Jarry. I think that he was more of a Matt Murray guy because obviously their history together. And we even saw in the late part of last season and playoffs, who was his guy to have at goalie? It was Matt Murray. But then you look at this offseason and how right at the last minute, it was like, all right, we'll trade Murray and it will give this deal more of a, all right, you're a nice player, but it's more bridge contract versus like bona fide goalie contract for Casey DeSmith. For Tristan Jarry. So to me, I just looked at it as, I don't think Sullivan views Jarry as his guy. And that's why we saw them start Casey DeSmith last night in a big game against the Caps, and how we also saw him pull Tristan Jarry earlier in that Friday matchup against the Flyers. So when I'm seeing these things, I just think organizationally, like front office management, they are Jarry people. They gave him the contract. They want him to be the guy.
Is he the one with the more talent?
Yes. Okay. Very talented, but not always in the best positions. That's the part that gets him. But then it's like, all right, I think that, like I said, organization-wise, front office-wise, they believe in Jarry. That's why they made the move to get rid of Matt Murray and why they ultimately gave him the contract extension. But I think that Sullivan isn't completely sold on Jarry. And I think that he views DeSmith as the better player that gives him the best chance to win, and which is why we're seeing this flip-flopping so early,
tough,
man.
Though. It's not like he had 2 good games.
But this is the thing. If you're the coach, right, and you didn't even believe in this goalie, you didn't believe in Jarry, you believe Murray was your guy. You wanted Murray. Every time you got it, you put Murray in because you've won championships with Murray. You've got out of big games in Murray. I'm front office though. And I tell you, look, I don't care which one of these guys you like. I'm getting rid of Murray. Even though that's your favorite, I'm getting rid of him. Jari's your goalie. Now you bring in DeSmith and you're like, bro, I like this. He kind of reminds me of Murray. I like some of the things that he does, right? He's very fundamental. I like this part. So even though I'm still telling you, Jari's your goalie. Jari's your goalie. I gave you this, the guy I paid, put him out there. You're like, I don't believe in him. I think this guy is better. And I'm going to roll with him. So that's why for me, even though DeSmith isn't playing just this perfect goalie action, I think that Sullivan believes that he gives them the best chance to win instead of Jari, who has the contract, just put him out there for that purpose because the front office likes him. That's what I think is going on right now.
Sure, yeah. If Jari keeps sucking, of course, but I think, man, if Jari can get back on track, then I think he's your guy.
But this is the thing. You think that Sullivan, when has he seen Jari consistently put together performances like that?
I have no clue. I looked at his game logs and everything last year. He seemed like he had a really good year last year.
The first half really good. Second half it dropped off bad, man.
I did see he had however many losses in a row, but then his final game though against the Canadians,
but it was too late then. That was it.
I think he only let up one goal and our offense didn't get anything going.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I just think from a coaching standpoint, you just have a difference in beliefs compared to the front office. I don't think it either is right or wrong, but it kind of reminds me a little bit what we just talked about with the Doug Peterson thing. Organization has the belief in wins. Doug Peterson thought that Hurts gave him the best chance to win, though. So you could just see even how that dynamic played out. And I think it's similar right here. Now, obviously, it's not to the same scale because the pay and the players aren't to that same caliber. But that, to me, is what that situation is. And that's why we've seen them pulling Jari so quick. I mean, think about this. If we said that going into the season, Matt Murray or Andre Fleury was going to be our goalie, you're not pulling Fleury after 2 games. It's a condensed season. You're not worried about him from a conditioning standpoint or a health standpoint. The season is drastically reduced, and it wasn't even like it was a back-to-back. So it's like you want to be pulling these guys.
They did paint it as a mental thing, though. From everything I read, they're like, oh, we want to just give him some time off to recalibrate.
Would you ever have heard them say that about any of the other top goalies?
No, but they didn't win cups though either. Jari didn't win cups.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's why I think that they look at him like that and they're doing that with him. You do that with guys that you don't necessarily believe in 100%. You're not doing that to your guys. If that's my goalie, that's my goalie. Think about Ben, right? As it pertains to football, Ben can have a bad game. Coach Tom's not going to pull him out and say, I want to give Ben some time to get his thoughts together. Nah, you're going to put him back out there because that's your guy. A guy like Mason or Duck, you would say, hey, all right, man, we might need to pull him off mentally. He's drowning a little bit. Give him a little bit of time to himself. You see the difference in terms of how you conduct business with both of those style of players. I just don't think that Sullivan views Jari as this elite level goalie that everybody else, and from a fan perspective, tries to view Jari as. Okay. I think that's the difference right there.
I guess you could say the verdict's still out on him. He definitely has that potential as opposed to DeSmith, though. I really don't think DeSmith. Maybe he can get you through some of these games. I don't know if he's the long-term answer for this, for even this particular season.
I mean, we'll see, because I know obviously with DeSmith they say he's a smaller goalie, so we'll see how that.
This is just based off my eye test from these 2.5 games that I've watched.
You know how I get nervous with your eyes, because
I'm just telling you that I will say this
with you is sometimes it gets janky.
The defense was particularly shit in the first period, but. I do think there were some, throughout, the second period or the third period, just some shots where he made the stop, but it was just some inklings of those 3 goals in the first period. It was like, man, if that just went one way or another, that's a goal right there.
Absolutely.
There's just stuff he leaves out there on the table that concerns me a little bit. But I think the defense was garbage too in the first period. But then the overall team in the second 2 periods was definitely lights out.
I could dig
Started playing a lot better. And I think I don't want to say they completely lit them up like the Capitals, like they completely outplayed them. Because I would say second period they did, but then third period came around. I think it was more of an even match. Like both teams had their chances, which led to overtime. Crosby getting that goal.
Absolutely, man.
Just my take, though.
Absolutely,
I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there.
I like it, man. Either way, this is growth, though. This is growth by you, man. And I want to say they play Friday, actually, man. So that's gonna be another exciting one.